Hi, we're going to go over how to clean your French horn, something you should do about once a month as you are playing it. So the French horn has a lot of pieces that we're going to have to take out while we are washing the French horn. So I'm going to show you all the pieces we take out and what pieces we leave behind. You're going to take out your French horn, you're going to take out your mouthpiece, you're going to have a mouthpiece brush, and you're going to have your snake, which is a double-sided brush on a coil that we're going to use to clean out all the tubes. Then, first thing we have to do is take the French horn apart. So there's a lot of pieces. So on the back, we have some of our main tuning slides. We're going to pull each of these out. And we're going to set them inside a bathtub that should be filled with room temperature water and some good old Dawn dish soap. That is going to eat up the grease that is building up inside, because Dawn is a degreaser and it's also biodegradable, so it will not damage the instrument. So just some Dawn dish soap and some room temperature water is all you need to clean the entire French horn. Then we look for any other slides that can come out. And if one of them is stuck, like this one doesn't move, we just leave that one alone. For all these, we have 6 slides right here where our valves are at. For these, we cannot take out unless we push the valves down. So what we can do is we can hold down all 3 valves and then just slide these valves, tuning slides out. And if you notice, the biggest ones are always in the front. They're always on top. And in the middle, we have the 2 tuning slides that have that little ring at the top that you can grab onto. And I'm going to show you how to remember how to put all this back together. There will also be a picture that I'll include at the end that shows the French horn put together and where each of the tuning slides go. Okay, so the back of our 3rd valve, we have this big old curly one. When you're taking out these ones in the back, make sure you have your thumb key pushed down also. And then we are going to pull out that 2nd tuning slide. Again, it's got the ring on it. And then we have our 1st valve on the bottom end. This is what we call our Shrek, because if you look at it, it's got the 2 ears, so it almost looks like Shrek. Okay. Then you have all those slides out. Then take the entire French horn. We do not need to take the valves out. Stick the entire French horn in the bathtub. Then we let it soak for a bit, and then while we're doing that, we get our other stuff ready. So we can uncoil our brush. And then what we do with our brush is we just pick up one piece at a time, each little tuning slide, stick the brush in, brush out the inside, brush out the inside, and then we could take a washcloth or rag of some kind, put some soapy water on it, and then wipe the whole outside, getting all the slide grease off so it's nice and clean. You could turn on your faucet, rinse this entire valve off, turn your faucet off, and then set this on a clean towel next to you to start drying. After you go through all of your small valves and tuning slides, then we take our mouthpiece also. We do the same thing, but we use our mouthpiece brush. We just brush from the bottom, stick the tip of the brush through, give it a twist that brushes all the gunk from inside. Then we could use our washcloth with your finger, stick it inside where your mouth goes so it gets nice and clean in there, and wipe off the whole outside. The soapy water will clear everything. Again, rinse the mouthpiece off, set it to the side. After all of your small pieces are done, then pick up the big body of the French horn. Water does get trapped in all these little churns, so some of it will be heavy. You'll hear water inside. So I'll show you how we spin it to empty the whole thing out, which is a lot easier when all the tuning slides are out of it. So you take your brush. Every tube you find, stick the brush through every single one of these tubes. So there's a whole bunch here that we got to clean. And then also on the other side, sticking it through each of those. So every tube you have, try to get all of those nice and clean, sticking it through just the beginning part of where your mouthpiece goes. It will not make it through all the way, so we just stick it through a bit until we feel some resistance. And then we just pull it back because we do not want to get this brush stuck. After you've done that, again, take your washcloth with some soapy water on it and just wipe down the entire outside of the French horn. And then turn on the faucet, or the shower might be easier. Rinse off the whole outside of this, get some water inside, and then turn the French horn always the same direction. And then what it's going to do is it's going to work the water through all the tubes, and it's going to start pouring out. Do that until you see no more soapy water coming out, and then until you see no water coming out at all after all your rinse water is out. Then set this off to the side. Get a drying towel, wipe down the outside of all the pieces so it dries faster, and leave it for a few hours or overnight in a safe place away from pets and small children, so that way this has time to air dry the inside before you put the whole thing together. And then as you put the whole thing together, you're going to need some slide grease and your oil. So for your oil, what you're going to do, you're just going to uncap your oil, and you're going to put 1 drop inside each one of the tubes that are at the top, and then just take your fingers and just move the valves, thumb valve included. That way we make sure that everything moves nice and freely and it gets all oiled moving around on the inside. Then for each of your tuning slides, we're going to go one at a time. So let's start with these 2 simple basic ones. These are our main tuning slides that go on the underside of the French horn. So all this non-shiny part is what you put a little tiny bit of the slide grease on. Think of it like chapstick. We don't want a lot, just enough so it's not dry. And then, if we see where the French horn is at, these tuning slides go right in here. And the way we figure out if you ever get lost on which one goes where in this area is it only fits one way. So, for example, on this French horn, we'll see that if we stick this one here, and then we stick this one, if we do this one this way, if you ever run into the issue, because this will not fit over here, if you ever run into the issue where you're pushing the valves in and it pushes the other one out a little bit, like what just happened here, all we got to do is take this out, flip it over because you see that other end is shorter, and push it in that way. That way when you're pushing the 2 valves in, they can both go completely in. Okay? Then those are done. If your tuning slide back here was able to come out, you could put that one in. Those are the basic looking ones. Then we have all of our more complicated ones. So find this piece that has all the curls in it. And before you put all the pieces on, give each of these a little spin. Just make sure there's no residual water inside. This one is going to go your 3rd valve. So 3rd one away from your mouthpiece. The back set of holes. So we're going to set it in there. And again, we are going to make sure that we push our thumb key down and our 3rd valve. And we're just going to push that piece in. So the biggest curly one goes right by the bell. Then, let's take our huge one. That goes in front. So we're going to push our thumb and our 3rd valve down. We're going to stick this one just like this. Thumb and 3rd valve. And we slide that one in. Then, let's find our 2 that have the ring at the top. They are 2 different sizes. You have a small one and you have a large one. The small one goes behind the large one. You'll notice if you stick the large one in the wrong spot, it will not go down all the way. Okay? So again, we find it's all the way back here. We find our 2nd valve and our thumb, because we're doing the one in the back on the bottom, and we stick that one in. Then we don't need the thumb when we do the ones that are on top, so we do our longer one right in front. Just like that. Then we have these last 2. We have this little P-shaped one, and we have our Shrek with the 2 ears on it. The Shrek goes behind in the back. So our bigger P one goes in the front. So let's take our Shrek valve. Since it's in the back, we're going to push our thumb and our first finger down. And I'm going to stick that one inside, make sure it goes all the way down. And then we're going to take just our first valve. We're going to slide our first valve tune slide all the way in. And that is how we reassemble our French horn. If you get lost or confused, do the best you can, and if some of them are in the wrong spot, you can bring it back to me and I will help you rearrange them. Another good trick is to take a picture of the valves. So take a picture of all the front, what these pieces look like. After you take these out, take a picture of what the back ones look like, so you have a reference on where everything goes. And that is how we clean our French horn.